So you're going on vacation and you're sitting on an airplane, minding your own business, and all of a sudden a beverage cart comes wheeling down the aisle and strikes you in the arm, breaking your arm. Do you have a case?
Hey everyone, welcome to the Williams, Elleby, Howard and Easter YouTube channel. I'm Chase Elleby, this is my partner Marc Howard, and today we're going to be talking about that fact scenario, but more generally what we kind of, pocket as aviation law, which I think is a fantastic topic to discuss. Because most of the time when we talk about aviation law, at least I think of planes crashing, right? The worst case scenario, but there's so much more that's involved with aviation. So let's talk briefly about your scenario that you just proposed. You're just sitting on the plane and all of a sudden you get hit by a beverage cart. So do you have a case?
You may, and the reason you may have a case is because airlines are common carriers. They take money and they take you places.
Right.
And so, at least in Georgia, the law imposes what's called a duty of extraordinary care on a common carrier like an airplane. And what does that mean? Well, duty of extraordinary care means that the airline has to is liable if they even are guilty of slight negligence.
Right, so that you bring up a good point, right? So a lot of times when lawyers are analyzing and looking at cases, the standard of care, duty of care is really going to dictate whether or not you have a case, right? So the run-of-the-mill car wreck case, it's just basic negligence, right? Duty, breach, causation, damages. When we talk about medical malpractice, we've got other medical malpractice videos. Depending on the setting, it's a heightened standard, right? Aviation, motor carrier, things like that. And especially in this context, it's even higher. Their duty is higher, not necessarily the standard of care, but their duty is higher to make sure that people who are traveling on the planes are kept safe.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that's the situation of a commercial airline.
Right.
A commercial airline is also heavily regulated. So not only does Georgia state law put a duty on the airline to exercise extraordinary care, but the federal government imposes regulations on airlines known as the Federal Aviation Regulations. And especially for commercial carriers, they are very strict about things that they have to do or things that they should not do.
Gotcha. Now, I always think of this question too. Of course, when you're flying on a plane, you're never stuck in one state. You're usually going from state to state to state. So let's say, hypothetically, in that scenario you posed, you're going from Atlanta to California and the beverage cart gets knocked loose over Texas.
Yeah, so this could be an hour-long discussion about what law applies in terms of aviation. It depends on where you file suit, first of all. And in Georgia, we have a rule uses Latin words called Lex Loci Delicti, which means that the place where the harm occurred is what law applies. So if you filed suit in Georgia, but the airplane was flying over Texas, the airline would have a pretty good argument that Texas law would apply even though you filed in a Georgia court. But then there's a whole bunch of more complex rules that go along with that.
Right, so suffice it to say that it's a very fact-specific analysis. So if you are ever injured either on a flight, getting onto a plane, getting off a plane, it's very important to at least reach out to a lawyer on the front end as soon as you can to sort of get a lay of the land of what your rights may be, what things need to take place in order to preserve that claim, and then later on to possibly pursue that claim. So, I think this is a fascinating topic with this aviation in general. I know we could talk about this for days, but I do think it's important just for people to realize that, anytime you are traveling or on a plane or things like that, it's a very specific, cause of action, specific rules, specific regulations that need to be taken into consideration. And something as simple as, a bag falling on your head or a card, you might think your only recourse would be, with customer service at Delta or something like that. But it's definitely much more than that. So, I guess anything else you want to add, just to kind of put a bow on it?
Yeah, I think the main thing is if you're hurt and you're traveling on a commercial airline, it might be worth looking into whether you have a case or not beyond customer service.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, awesome. Well, good deal. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Be sure to like this video, share with your friends, subscribe to our page. Put in the comments if you have any other questions, and we will see you next week.